Hello, my name's S. Rob and this is Pirate Riot. And I would just like to say you have to look after yourself. This does not mean, I do not mean, that you shouldn't help other people, that other people can't help you. What I'm saying is you have to look after yourself. Why? Because we live in a corrupt system. The police will not help you. They won't help you. They may blame you for something you haven't done, but they're not really going to provide any help. So if a mug-up comes along, they won't stop them. If someone breaks into your house, they won't catch them. They certainly won't stop anyone from breaking into your house, because that isn't how they work anymore. And if you go to the medical system, they'll pretty much do what they have to do, because they've got to peddle their drugs. They rely on drug pushing. They've got to push them drugs onto people that don't need it. It means you might get operations you don't need, things that make you reliant on them for a very long time. That is how they work. So you have to look after yourself. What does that mean? It means what it says. It doesn't necessarily mean you've got to get into fights. That's the reverse of what it means. You've got to keep yourself whole. You have to look after your own health. So what should we do? You need to learn complementary medicine. You know, is there any vitamins you could take which would help you so that you'd be less likely to get ill? You have to look after yourself. You've got to keep yourself robust, strong and robust, in spite of them, really in spite of them. They can't help you. They won't help you. If you can get help from them, that is fine, but you have to look after yourself, okay? You look around the world, you can see people relying on the help of the system and it doesn't help them. You can see it all the time. You cannot rely on it. If it's there and it can help you, that's great, but you cannot rely upon it. You can't rely on this stuff. You can't rely upon the country anymore, whichever country you're in. You can't rely on the police, the ambulances. You can't rely on that, even the fire brigade. What they do is they generally stop fires once they've started. You can't rely on that. You can rely on yourself. But you can also maybe rely on family, friends, and then that helps because that becomes your group. That group can help each other and will be more useful than any of the policemen and medical people that there is around. But it doesn't mean you have to refuse help. I'm not saying there isn't still good people within the system and they can't help you, you know. And if they can help you, then maybe you should let them. But you got to remember there's bad ones as well. You have to sort the good out from the bad. My name's S. Rob. This has been Pirate Riot. My name is S. Rob and this is Pirate Riot, and I would like to talk about private property. And this seems to be an interesting concept. If we look at the ancient world, there was no deeds. Something was yours because you sat on it. That's all it was. If you went for a long excursion, you'd come back and find someone had stolen it because it wasn't yours anymore. That's how it worked with property. What you could keep was yours, what you couldn't, you lost. That's it. And it's sort of like that today, you know. You get people taking property over by simply sitting there and being there. And in many parts of the world, they don't have documents. You know, I'm sure that if you went into the desert, you'd find a lot of property which they don't have documents for. So legally, it's not theirs. And many other things as well. So private property, what is this? Well, it also includes companies, shares. It includes, you know, the things you actually own and use. Maybe a shovel or a hat. It includes them as well. It includes everything. And that's the thing, everything now is owned. Okay? So you have to own to do anything. You know, there isn't really the concept of the person who doesn't own anything. It's there as a concept, but there's few people like that. Now, what does this mean? Does it actually mean that we've managed to commoditize the whole world? Pretty much, yes. That's what it means. But it also means, how does it move around? How do the different amounts of wealth move around if everyone owns everything? You know, because those are the most, if they were spread over the entire world, would tend to just get richer and the other ones would get poorer because there's nothing else they could do. Because they essentially own something of everything. So we have to think about that private property. But it's also the basis of a lot of civilization. When you don't have private property, you have kings and queens who own everything, including the subjects, meaning us. People like you and me, they own. So private property in many ways is a better way out. It gives us the concept that we can all own something and not be owned. Okay, this has been Pirate Riot. Okay, my name's S. Rob, this is Pirate Riot, and I would like to talk about slavery. That's right. Has it went away? Hell no, it still exists. Slavery is real, it exists. Now, when I'm talking about slavery, I'm not necessarily talking about people who are, you know, stuck in a car wash and couldn't get out. Happens, does happen. Or someone that's a sex slave. I'm talking about old-fashioned slavery, where people can be bought and sold, where you can actually, you know, exchange contracts. That's what I'm talking about. Old-fashioned. Does it exist? Yes. If you look in Brazil, it wasn't banned until 2001, which means it's still going to be there. Unfortunately, it's still going to be everywhere else. Slavery is real. That's the reality. It does mean that all these shirts and things that you get that are manufactured very cheaply by these lower caste people in different countries, actually what you're doing is you're supporting slavery. Let's get real. If slavery is real in any country in the world, there is no way you're going to get third world countries paying their own people wages when they can simply own them. Which means a lot of the cheap stuff around the world people like is paid for by the use of slaves. That's right. I'm not talking about virtual slaves or almost slaves, like the Marxist idea. So, the Marxist idea that some people don't own the means of production. If they don't do that, they are slaves. No, you can't buy and sell them like slaves. But these people can be bought and sold because they are slaves. It also means that if you go miss, somebody goes missing, it's a possibility that it will taken and be made into a slave. You've got to have that as a possibility, because where could that happen? Anywhere. What they would need is an embassy if they were in a country where slavery wasn't recognised. So basically you're looking now at people with links to diplomats, people who have diplomatic passports. By that I mean diplomatic documents that they can't get blamed for different things. I know they say, oh well, we can't blame them for things really, but in reality if they do that, they would do that to your people. So it's a catch-22, they can't do anything. So what have you got then? You've got diplomats kidnapping people. Well, how would they fit in the diplomatic bag or the diplomatic box? You know how they would? Because that's what they're designated to be. They designate the plane as their diplomatic box. How would they move them? Boat ship, possibly underground. You're looking at something that is big. Well, where could that mean that people could be taking slaves from? London's got a load of embassies. Now, I think a consulate still has some power, but we've got loads of embassies in London. And this means that what we've got to look at is slavery. It means that when we're looking at people who are, look at London, a place in the saying, there's a lot of homeless people. No, the problem isn't there's a lot of homeless people. The problem is there's too few. Because where the hell have they taken them? And don't just think homeless. It could be anyone. How does that happen? You check into a hotel. It turns out it's not a hotel. You're walking into these things. Think James Bond. Ian Fleming, very clever man. What he did is he put all the stuff that spies actually came up against in the books and therefore in the films, and they've kept with the same tradition. He goes into a bar and the seat moves around and all this stuff. Yeah, they do that. Why not? You know why they do it for? Because it's elaborate, because they have the funds and they're dealing with difficult people. So when you look at this, think, well, what does it do the rest of the time when James Bond's not there? Does it roll around? Yes, it does. It collects slaves is what it does. It collects people that want to take as slaves. That's it. Why was James Bond perfect? Because he was a different colour to the people in the bar. They need to have slaves they can easily recognise from each other. That means if you're talking a white group of people, the black ones are perfect. If it's black and white, they're perfect, but also Chinese, and they could probably take anybody. And that's what you're talking about, you see. So all this stuff's real. You have to open your mind now. All the stuff that Ian Fleming wrote down was real at the time, it still is. A lot of those tricks are under the Stasi, which were the secret police force. The Czech secret police. And a lot of the tricks that are used by people like that, or some people believe by spies, were invented by the Stasi. Okay? So don't say, oh, it's too elaborate for that to happen. That's probably why it's done partly that way. So when you describe it, no one will believe you. So that the police won't do anything, because they've got a great excuse that it sounds too elaborate to be true, so they can sit on their asses and do nothing when it's actually true. So that's it. Careful. If you're walking around places and you think you've got that bad instinct, something could happen, distance yourself from the embassies. Okay? Because if they're going to do this, and they will be doing it, they'll be doing it away from the embassies, near the embassies where it's safer for them. Away from the embassies, you're better off. Okay? My name is S. Rob. This has been Pirate Riot. My name's S. Rob. This is Pirate Riot. Okay, what do you want to do? That's right, I'm asking you, what do you want to do? Because basically speaking, throughout your entire life, no one's asked what the hell you want. And the thing is, when they ask you like that, you don't know. I know you don't know. And that means you've got no goals. But you know what? That can be good as well, because it means you can be flexible and you can react to the world as it is. See, to look for opportunities is a good thing. To look and see what opportunities are available. Because sometimes the opportunity you want, life just won't give to you. It won't. So what do I do? Do I know what I want to do? Yes. Do I use opportunities that are available? Yes, I do. You know why? Because it's the best way. It's the best way for me. But think about it. What do you want? What do you want out of life? Forget about what the crap everybody else wants, what they want you to have, and what you're supposed to have. What do you actually want? Okay? You know? Because if you want a 20-foot swimming pool full of naked models, then by God, you should have it. Okay? You've got to work out how to get it at that point. How do I get to there? Or a version of it. Okay? That's what you got to do. What do you want? And I'm not answering that question for you. You'll have to answer it for yourself. What do you want? This has been Pirate Riot. My name's S. Rob. This is Pirate Riot. Why do we let people get us down? We do. Because we take the criticism of other people too seriously. A lot of people do that and they really worry about it. But why do we do that? You know why we do it? Because it gives us an excuse to try and bring ourselves down to the average level. Because it's tough. It's tough when everyone else is there and you're there. It is. It's tough when you get through the stuff other people can't get through. Because you end up, they start thinking crap at you because you've gotten further than they could. And that's it. That's what it is. So what I'm saying is, people do it, but partly it's our weakness. It is. Because we have to find an excuse where we get to feel. Don't worry about it. Life has many ways that you can feel. You don't have to engineer it for yourself. So, you know, don't worry about it when people try to take shots at you. Take them back. Have another one. Because the bottom line is, you are more powerful than they are. They think they can argue with you, you can argue with them. You can destroy their argument, especially if you give it some thought. Okay? So the sort of things they're going to see and give it some thought. Okay, my name's S. Rob, this has been Pirate Riot.